What's going on, man? It's your boy Jay Holley, and we are back with another episode of Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. Thank you. Oh, episode 81. 81. Thank you. You are far too kind. You could have been anywhere in the world, but I am so glad that you're here with me. I am Jesse Holley, the sports talk equivalent of Braille. People feel me when I speak. This podcast is brought to you from the Playmakers. We're in the Playmakers office, man. We're in Michael Irving's office at his restaurant in the Colony off of Highway 121. So if you're looking for good food, good drinks, good atmosphere, good vibes, watching the game or just enjoying some good times, and you never know, you come here at the right day and the right time, the Playmaker will be in here. So come out and check out the Playmaker restaurant off of Highway 121 in the Colony. Make sure you like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. You can follow us on Fanatics View. Hit me up on Unfiltered with Jesse Holley on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Fourth and Long. Leave messages in the comment. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, you can find me there. Leave comments there. All over the place, man. Put me in your group chat. Put me in the family group chat, church group chat, Ben's group chat, women's group chat, all of the group chats. Let folks know, like, hey, have you ever heard of Unfiltered with Jesse Holley? You might want to listen to it. You might want to just give me 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Find an episode. This 81 will be out by the time you guys see this. Find an episode, 15 minutes. At least give me that. If you don't like that episode, find another one. And then find another one. And eventually you'll find the one that gets you in love with what I do. All right, man, you guys know how I like to get down. I like to get my motivation out at the beginning because let's be honest with you, some of you won't be here at the end, and that's okay. I'm not for everybody. I'm just not everyone's cup of tea. At times I can be in a very acquired taste. So, all right, here's what we got. The word is, if you don't know where you are going, any road will take you there. If you do not know where you are going, any road will take you there. Basically speaking, you better get some damn direction. Whatever it is that you plan on doing in life, you better get yourself some direction. You better get yourself some real purpose. You better get yourself some real defined understanding of what it is. You know, the Cowboys use the word rooted. You better be rooted in something. Because if you're not, the winds of the world will take you to and fro. And people will be able to lead you down these different roads and paths that are to their liking, or these roads and these paths of things that will benefit them and harm you. So you better get yourself some damn direction. You better get either with some folks. You better get around some folks. You better get some direction from folks. You better find yourself in a place where you understand your life GPS better be calibrated correctly. If your GPS is not calibrated correctly and it's telling you take the exit and ain't no exit, you in trouble. Or if your GPS is saying turn at 500 feet down this road, and that road that is turning down is a one-way street, and now you want to head on with an 18-wheeler, you in a world of trouble. Your life GPS, your purposeful GPS better have proper calibration. Whatever that road is taking you, you better for sure know that it's taking you to the place that you want to go. Ask them questions. Find out about it. Look ahead. Plan properly. Because if you don't, you will find yourself down a one-way street going the wrong way. So if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. A lot of us, we have these dreams. We don't have the directions on how to live them out. And so what we end up doing is we end up following someone else's dream and helping them live out their dream. It's time for you to get direction. Get on the right path, get on the right road, and get to where you're trying to get to. All right, man, let's get into this game. Cowboys take another loss, 34-10. And if I'm not mistaken, my prediction was pretty damn close. If I'm not mistaken, if you rewind the tape and go back to episode, I didn't do episode 80. I did do episode 80, but I didn't do a prediction. On my other shows, I did a prediction. My other predictions were the final score being 34-9. That was my score. So for him to be, I said 34 35. What was it? 34-10. I said 35-9. That's what I had predicted. The Cowboys take another embarrassing L at AT&T. I mean, where do we get started? It's funny because a week or so ago, we were having the discussions, or we were all having the discussions about the sun, right? And Jerry's getting upset and he's getting mad about the sun. And he made a comment and he says, well, why don't we just knock the whole damn stadium down and build another one? Well, the Cowboys get to the game this Sunday and they decide, hey, we're going to open up the window. and Jerry, and I got this from my boy Jeff Kavanaugh, and Jerry has always said, why is there a hole in the middle of my stadium when he was at Tech Stadium and now at AT&T? He says, because the Cowboys are God's team. And so Jerry had the comment a week or so ago, and he said, well, why don't we just knock the damn stadium down and build another one? Jerry goes to open the roof, and a piece of sheet metal comes falling from the ceiling. It felt like when he opened the roof, God looked down and said, I don't want to watch this mess either. And if Jerry, you want to build another stadium? God said, all right, bet. All right, let's knock it down. Let's knock it down right now. So that just was an interesting thing. It's just a microcosm of what the Cowboys season has been. It has just been one just comedy of errors after comedy of errors. The Cowboys, dating back to, let me read you some of these stats. It just makes it crazy. The Cowboys, dating back to the playoffs, have lost 6 straight home games. Not only have they lost 6 straight home games, they've lost those 6 straight home games by 20 or more points. That is the longest streak in NFL history. The Cowboys, out of the 4 American men sports, basketball, baseball, hockey, and the NFL, those are the 4 North American major sports. The Cowboys are the only team. Now think about this. Every hockey team, every baseball team, every basketball team, every other football team, all have at least one win at home in the calendar year of 2024. The Cowboys are 0-6. There are 30 in the NBA. What is it? How many is in the MLB? 31, 30, whatever it is. All I'm saying is that the Cowboys are down bad. Another interesting stat. I'm going to give you some people who have won in AT&T Stadium this year, and the Cowboys have not. Tell you like this one. Texas A&M. They got a dub in AT&T Stadium. The U.S. soccer team. The Canadian soccer team. They both won during the Copa Cup America. Jake Paul got a dub in the Cowboys' home arena in the year of 2024 before the Dallas Cowboys. It is just a comedy of errors. And if you watch the game, you saw it. First play of the game for the Cowboys. The very first play of the game. People didn't even get to their seats. They hadn't even got their nachos. They haven't even gotten their Jerry Ritas that you have to pay $97 at the stadium to get. The peanut man didn't come by. The guy that was there, cold beers, he hadn't even rolled up his cart yet. 77-yard touchdown. Now I get it, it got called back. But first play of the game. 77-yard touchdown to Nico Collins. And if you go back and you watch that play, they called Laramie Tunsil for a legal man downfield, which I didn't think it was, but all right, cool. Fine. They ended up scoring 4 plays later. But go back and watch that first play. The first play of the game. Laramie Tunsil, he blocks down, he creeps out, he takes on Maris Luafau as his first block. And then as Nico Collo begins up the field, Laramie Tunsil with this hand, his good, strong right hand of God, blocks Maris Luafau. He takes the other left hand of God, and he blocks Malik Hooker. Laramie Tunsil is blocking 2 NFL professional football players at the same time. Go back and watch it. Just go to the beginning of the game and press play. And it just was, again, it was a comedy of errors. I don't know. I mean, Trayvon Diggs is going to have nightmares trying to tackle Joe Mixon. I mean, Joe Mixon was like making it a point, I'm going to run through your chest. Just again, and I don't know what the design was, but there could not have been a serious meeting where the offensive staff said to themselves, okay, guys, here's how we're going to beat the Houston Texans team. We're going to have our backup quarterback with this broken offensive line throw the ball a total of 55 times. I did not stutter. I don't have dyslexia. I did not incorrectly say that. Double nickel. Didn't Jordan wear 50? Didn't Jordan score 55 when he came back at the Garden wearing 45? Didn't he have that game? He had a double nickel game at the Garden. Joakim Noah wore 55 at Memphis. 55 dropbacks. Double nickel. With your backup quarterback who last week could not hit the wide side of the barn. Like, this is the thing. I'm like this. I'm like, turn this on. Turn it on. Turn your brain on, Mike McCarthy. Michael from Pittsburgh, turn it on. And you were in this football game. At half, it was 17-10. You were within 1 score, and you got the ball at half. In that game as well, Bones Fossil, my guy, for the second time in 3 weeks, you run another fake punt. And it gets you absolutely nothing. You remember in Harlem Knights, one of my favorite movies, there's a scene in Harlem Knights where Eddie Murphy is coming from, I remember him as Tommy Strong or Martin. But Tommy Strong was killed by the mob, right? And he had to cut his throat from here to here. That was the instructions that they got. But Tommy's brother was Arsenio Hall and his gang. See Eddie Murphy, whose name is Quick in the movie Harlem Knights. See him leaving at the hotel. They go in behind him to check on his brother. They find his brother dead, and they think Eddie Murphy is the one that killed him. And so they chase Eddie Murphy down in the car. Eddie Murphy jumps out of the car, jumps through this window of the storefront, and he's having a shootout with Arsenio Hall and his crew. And the driver, like, they got Tommy guns. And they're like, brr, brr. I mean, they're unloading shots at Quick, right? And the driver has this little pistol. And they're, and they'll stop and he'll go, pop, pop. And then Quick will shoot back. He'll have it shoot over the top, pop, 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 pop. And the driver goes, pop, pop. And then eventually Arsenio Hall gets upset. He's crying. He's like, I'm going to kill you, Quick. And the driver goes, pop, pop. And he takes his hat off and hits his homeboy in the head. He goes, pop, pop. He said, don't shoot that little no more. Don't shoot. This is me hitting you in the head, Bones Fossil. Don't run no more fake punts. We don't want to see no more fake punts. That is it, and that is all. Don't shoot that little no more. Don't do it. We don't want to see another fake punt out of you. I don't want to see one from Brian Anger. I don't want to see one from Brandon Aubrey. I don't want to see any. Please do not snap it directly to the up back next week. I don't want to see a fake field. I don't want to see no more special team anything. You had the penalty trying to do a reverse. Like, no more. Stop it. Don't shoot that little no more. We are good. Just punt the damn ball away. Just please punt it away. You are not good at fake punts this year. Please don't do it anymore. This team is cooked. Out of the respect of the holiday, with Thanksgiving, we got 3 games in 10 days starting yesterday. I'm going to prolong a little bit until after the Thanksgiving holiday before I ceremoniously pack y'all up. You're getting packed up. Oh, believe you me, you are getting packed up. But as soon as you lose to the Washington Commanders and then whatever happens with the Giants, respectfully, I'm going to let you enjoy time with your family for the Thanksgiving holiday. Oh, but when we return that Monday after it's all said and done, I'm going to have a nice box. I may get a little ribbon because it is the holiday season. I may even get a little bow. But trust and believe you me, Michael from Pittsburgh and this Cowboy football team, wrap up, packed up. You gotta go. It is difficult to watch the Cowboys play. It is hard to watch the Cowboys play. And taking a page from Skywalker is now I'm just trying to watch what players of the future can we see develop. My interest in the game is I don't have an interest. I don't care what happens. I know the outcome. If a team is anything worth their weight in salt, they're going to beat the Cowboys. It's going to happen. One thing I do want to say, and it broke my heart. I'm not going to lie. It broke my heart. And you heard the comments that Micah made a couple weeks ago. In some way, he tried to express his gratitude and his willingness to want to go out there and win for guys like Zack Martin because he knows that they're on the end of their rope. And to watch Zack Martin in that game on one knee, looking dejected, looking hurt. He was already hurt coming into the game, dealing with the shoulder arm injury and the ankle injury and the back injury and so many different things. And you just think about a guy who's been the model of consistency, right? Like Zack Martin is the kind of guy who, for a large majority of his career, he had more All-Pros. He had more All-Pros than he had holding penalties. Unheard of in a 9-10 year career. But Father Time is definitely undefeated. And Father Time is whooping the ever-living-ish out of Zack Martin right now. And it hurt my feelings to watch him on a knee. And it just looked like Nate Newton called him a warrior. And it looked like a warrior who had fought his last battle. He looked broken. You can see it on the man's face where he just looks like, I just don't have any more fight in me. And I don't know if this is whatever. I don't know what the extent of the injury that took him off the field in the game last night, on Monday night. But it may be one where they can finally say, the trainers can finally say, hey, big fella, at least take a couple weeks off. Maybe we'll get you back for the last game of the season or the last home game of the season, what have you. But take a couple of games off, so that way you can go out on a good note. You can go out on your shield, and it's a positive one. It's not one when you go back and you look and you don't see the masterful player that once wore that number, that once wore those pads, that once filled that spot at the right guard spot for the Cowboys for so many years. That broke my heart to see that. That was tough. Yeah, this Cowboys team, man. If you're in the draft coverage, start looking for the draft coverage. I'm not, and never will I be a guy who is team tank. It's not in my DNA. It's not who I am. I want to win every single thing that I do. So I don't care whether we're 3-15, I want to win. So if you're looking for me to be team tank guy, I don't have it in me. I don't. I'll never will. I put in the blood sweat. I know what it is. I know the sacrifice. I know what your body feels like. I know what the time is. I'm never going to ask for a tank. I don't give a damn about draft status. I don't give a damn about draft picks. I don't care about none of that. I want to win. I'm a winner. I want to win in life. I want to win when I'm out there on the field. So I'm not the guy that you're coming to look for team tank. I just don't have that. That's never been a part of who I am. And not saying it's wrong with the people who believe that way. That's how they believe, and they have the right to believe that way. But if you come to Unfiltered with Jesse Holley and you're looking for me saying tank, sorry, not the show for you. Again, I told you guys earlier, I'm not for everybody. I am cut from a different cloth. Whether you like the fabric that I have or not, that's what it is. So I'm never going to be looking to tank. Sorry. That is never happening to me. But this Cowboys football team, it's bad. It's bad. And CeeDee Lamb, he said in the postgame show, he said, teams are looking to embarrass us. Teams are looking to take their shot at us. Teams, they do. And I liken it. I had the distinguished privilege of being a part of the University of North Carolina basketball team. I was part of a blue blood program on a national championship. And I understand what that means. I was a Dallas Cowboy too, so I get it. I understand. When you walk into a building, I don't care what your record is, you're still the North Carolina Tar Heels. You're still the Dallas Cowboys, and so people want to get off on you. Pause. People want to have an opportunity to say, we spanked you, we whooped you. And people have been taking their shots all year long. Dan Campbell has been taking his shot. He took his shot at the Cowboys. And make no mistake about it, the Cowboys are traveling to D.C. next week to take on the Washington Commanders, who are rolling right now, who are trying to get their lead back in the division. They're second place right now. You think Dan Quinn is not trying to embarrass the Cowboys? What? His old boss? His old team, where he wanted that head coaching job, and they held on to Mike McCarthy a little bit longer than his liking? You think he not trying to come and put on a show in front of his home fans? Now, normally, and I've witnessed this as a former player, when we used to travel to DC and play the Commanders or the Redskins, it was pro Cowboys crowd. There was a contingency of Commander fans or Washington fans. It was heavy Cowboy fans in DC. Heavy. No, the base is not too, there's a military base not too far in Virginia. And so there was a lot of Cowboy fans that lived in the DMV area. And it would be, I don't know if it's going to be that way this time. The Dan Quinn and the Washington Commanders have put together a team that people are willing and worth going to spend dollars on. So when the Cowboys head to D.C. to take on this game this week, don't look for it to be a pro-Cowboy crowd. I don't think those Commander fans are giving up tickets now. In the past, the teams were bad, and hey, listen, Cowboy fans want to come and watch the game, cool. I can make a couple dollars on this ticket and not have to worry. That ain't this. Yesterday's price is not today's price. So buckle up, hold on tight, because what they're going to try to do to the Cowboys on a short week, the Commanders were coming off a 10-day rest. They're coming off a bye. And they're getting ready to come off the Cowboys, who are already 18 guys were on the injury report last week. It's going to be 18 or more this week. Tyler Smith left the game. Zack Martin left the game. Marquise Bell left the game. Not Dalton Schultz. Jake Ferguson left the game with the concussion. It's going to be more. It's going to be more than 18 this week. It's going to be a mash unit this week for the Cowboys. They had off today. They'll be back at it tomorrow. But, they get ready to play the Commanders this Saturday. Another bad part about this whole thing, the Cowboys, we got 2 more primetime games. Jeez Louise. We got 2 more 7 o'clock games. And for those that are asking, no, you cannot flex out of the Monday night game against the Bengals, December 9th. You can't flex out of it. You know why you can't flex out of it? Because they have a Simpson simulcast. And they've already done the voiceovers, and they've already done the production. They've done all these things for the Cowboys and the Bengals and the Simpsons. They've done all that, so you're like, nope, you're stuck. We already spent money and resources on the tomfoolery. So you're stuck. You're stuck with playing that game. So we got two more games where we got to stay up. At least I do have to stay up way past my bedtime to watch a game that the Cowboys most likely will lose. But if you're a Cowboy fan, man, hold on. 7 more of these things. 7 more of these things. God. It is what it is, man. Hopefully the Cowboys can find a way to put some wins on the board and find themselves back in the winning column. All right, man, let's continue to move on. I told you earlier, around the sports we go, there was a victory at AT&T Stadium Friday night, the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. Jake Paul won again. And I'm not talking about in the ring. I'm really not talking about in the ring. Like Jake Paul, I'm feel how you feel about Jake Paul. Perfectly fine with that. He a punk, he a prick, he's a a-hole, whatever. The dude is winning. He has found a niche, and it's almost the Mayweather blueprint. It's almost, you're going to watch for 1 or 2 reasons. You are a fan of mine and you want to see me win, or you don't want to miss when I lose. And you hope that when I lose, it's an embarrassing crash out. But nonetheless, you watch. And he did it again Friday night at AT&T Stadium versus 58-year-old Mike Tyson. There were some good undercards before that. The Katie Taylor and what's her opponent? Serrano. The fight before that was a good fight. But the intrigue of the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight, there were some rules that people said was there. Mike couldn't do all this kind of stuff. However you feel about it, 60+ million people viewed this fight. 60+. I mean, we're talking about Super Bowl numbers here. We're talking about major sporting event numbers. Netflix didn't have the proper server. I don't know if your server was like if your Netflix was like my Netflix, it was buffering throughout the fights. You had to log out, log back in, and it didn't have enough. The server wasn't big enough. That's how many people watched a 58-year-old Mike Tyson take on a YouTuber. Now, I thought, man, boy, if Mike can get him early, he may have a chance. Now, I will say, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and even the clips that I watched, the warm-up clips, that wasn't the same. To me, it wasn't the same Mike Tyson. There wasn't, even in the early rounds, there wasn't a barrage of head movement, punches thrown, attacking. And I know it's different when someone's there to punch you back, but he looked a shell of himself. Now, it's 58 years old. I'm not here to make any excuses. But Jake Paul won again. $18.1 million at the gate. It is a non-Vegas record. 70+ thousand was in the stadium that night. 70,000 for a boxing match. And oh yes, by the way, the curtains were down. Let me address that. So I know people get upset about Jerry not using the curtains or when he used the curtains. Here's what you have to understand. When Jerry rents out his house, AT&T Stadium, the people who he rented to, they now, remember that, I'm the captain now. So it's not like, Jerry put the curtains up for them. No, they run the house that night. Once I pay you my money, I run the house that night. Whatever our contract says, I run the house that night. If I decide I want the roof open, the roof will be open if the weather is permitted. If I decide I want the curtains up, the curtains will go up. If I want the doors open, the doors will be open because I rented the facility. So I get to call the shots and what happens. So it's not like Jerry was like, I'm going to put them up for the concerts and the fights, but I'm not going to put them up for the games. Jerry controls what happens on the games. Jerry don't control, in the sense, no mind you, in the sense, he doesn't control what happens at the fight. But make no mistake about it, like Jerry is smart in the sense, well, you pay me to rent the facility. Yeah, you get the gate, but I get parking and I get concessions. So Jerry's making the rental money. He's still getting parking. He ain't giving parking up. He ain't giving that up. And he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I own the concession, Legends Concessions. They're me. So he gets the rental money, the concession stand money, and the parking money. The other folks get the whatever money that they get in advertising and the door, the tickets, the gate. $18.1 million at the gate, 60 plus million viewers on Netflix, a packed house, right? What you got for me, Tay? You about to say something?
Mike's statement about almost dying as well.
At the fight?
Yeah. Oh, just before.
Oh, so this is Mike says. Oh yeah, it was postponed. So this is one of the situations where you lost, but you still won. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets to get in the ring one last time. I almost died in June. Had 8 blood transfusions, lost half of my blood and 25 pounds in the hospital, and had to fight to get healthy to fight. So I won. To my children, to have my children see me stand toe-to-toe and finish 8 rounds with a talented fighter half my age in front of a packed Dallas Cowboys stadium is an experience that no man has the right to ask for. Thank you. So Tyson almost died in June, came back and fight. And, I mean, not a bad consolation prize. He walks away with $20 million. That's why Mike said, I don't give a damn about legacy. F legacy. F that. My kids can't eat legacy. They can eat with their $20 million. So think about it. He made $10 million with the Roy Jones fight a couple years ago. Was that 4 or 5 years ago? And now he made 20 plus million. Now he made 20 just for fighting. Ain't no telling what he made in his endorsements and stuff like that. So we could say Mike probably walked away with another $20 million and that kind of stuff, $30 million maybe. Mike probably walked away anywhere between $30 and $50 million for 16 minutes. I'll take that. Like, to me to get, like, for Mike to get back in training and get healthy, that's a lifestyle. Like, that's something that he can help him in life, right? And then he goes and play, for 16 minutes worth of work, I made anywhere between $30 to $50 million. So, yeah, Jake Paul wins again. But wait. Jake Paul's about to win another time. Guess who is talking about they want to fight Jake Paul? Now, I don't know if Jake Paul will take this fight, but he can walk to the bank again. The legendary SOG, Son of God, Andre Ward, says, I would take the conversation. If Jake Paul wants to fight old guys, I've been out of the ring for 7 years. I'm willing to have the discussion. Now, that is even more intriguing, tantalizing, and sellable than Mike Tyson. Because while Andre Ward has been absent from the ring for so long, he is not an old guy. He's not 58 years old. He's not Roy Jones. He's not Mike Tyson. And he's still close enough in age where you're like, if Jake Paul beats him, now you have to give him some major props and respect. Now, he's lost to Tommy Fury, who was more skilled boxer than him. I don't know if he wanted to get in the ring with Andre Ward. But I would love to see it. I tell you one thing. If Andre Ward and Jake Paul fought, They'll get $60 million. They'll get 60 million folks again. They'll get 60. I hope Netflix is right. They'll get 60 million plus again. They'll break some more records because this is even more of a sellable fight. This is even more because now there's a real chance of, ain't no playing around with Andre Ward. So Andre Ward and a lot of other people have said, right? A lot of people say, because they go, man, listen, I'll take the dive for 20 million. I don't know if Andre Ward will, but it'll be an interesting fight if Andre Ward accepts. Moving right along, the New York, remember I told you we packed the Jets up about 2 weeks ago? We packed them up. Well, hell, they're packing themselves up too. The Jets fire their general manager, Joe Douglas. Now, remind you, a month ago, they fired their head coach, Robert Saleh. Now they're firing Joe Douglas. His contract was up at the end of this year. Woody Johnson, the owner, fired Joe Douglas. Basically, guys, it's over in New York. When you fire your head coach and you fire your GM, we're in a complete rebuild. They went all in, and they did. They went all in on the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes, hoping that would take them to a level of notoriety. The first year, he played 4 snaps before he popped his Achilles and was done for the season. And then he came back, and you thought, all right, this is going to be the year. The grizzled Aaron Rodgers, the Aaron, the bad man, the John Wick. He's going to get us there. And boy, did they come out the gate flat. And then they went and they said, hey, go get me Devontae Adams. They went and traded for Devontae Adams to give him another receiver to go along with Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and others. I told y'all we packed them up 2 weeks ago. Woody Johnson just opened the box and said, hey, Joe Douglas, you get out of the box. We packed up, but you ain't going to be a part of this packed upness. It is, this is what happens when you allow players to kind of take control. When you allow the inmates to run the asylum, you get results like this. Joe Douglas was a part of this, and someone has to pay. Isn't that funny? When GMs make really, really dumb decisions and those decisions don't work out, it costs them their job. See the difference? Never mind. We won't get into that about GMs and how they have to. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But the Jets fired Joe Douglas, and they're in a rebuild. The Jets are in a complete rebuild now. They are cooked. They are done. And now it's a march to draft picks. It's a march to draft picks. It's a march to how can we offload some of these salaries. I don't know quite how much they're in the hole for Aaron Rodgers. Is there an opportunity for a post-June 1 cut? Their books are probably cooked right now, but they're on a search for a GM, for a head coach, probably for a quarterback. If I'm the Jets, and I don't know, I haven't gotten into their books, but if I'm the Jets, I give a call to Jacksonville, and I go, how do you guys want to get rid of Trevor Lawrence? And I know that Trevor Lawrence is not having a good year. I just think Trevor Lawrence is in a bad situation in Jacksonville with a bad team. Doug Peterson is a bad coach right now. I think a change of scenery for him under the right circumstances, the skills are still there. And they're going to need a quarterback. So their race right now was to getting high draft picks, and maybe they're in the Shedeur sweepstakes. New York City is a bright spot. That would bode well for Shedeur. But we shall see. 13 games into the NBA season for the Philadelphia 76ers, and they're already having team player-only meetings. That's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. Joel Embiid, he has dealt with many issues this year. He's come out and said, probably prematurely, I'm not playing back-to-backs this season. He gets into it with the reporter in the locker room. He's not playing. The team's not playing well. The big three in Philadelphia with Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid have not played a minute together this season. The Philadelphia 76ers called a team meeting. Well, really, Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry called a team meeting after the team's 4th loss in a row. They called a player-only meeting to have a heart-to-heart. And during this heart-to-heart meeting, Tyrese Maxey, the young point guard of this team, he called out his close friend Joel Embiid. Let me get the quote for you. It says, players and coaches held each other accountable and took fault in the start of the season. So they had a much needed call to action urgency meeting. It says Maxey challenged Embiid to be on time to team activities, calling out the 2022-2023 league MVP about being late, and I quote, for everything, and how it impacts the locker room. From other players to coaching staff, sources briefed on the meeting told ESPN. And that's an article from Sham Sharania. It says Maxey and Embiid have a very close friendship in the history of holding each other accountable according to those on the team. Maxey loves big fella, but this is the elephant in the room, a person involved in the meeting told ESPN. So already, and I like it. I like that the young fella is like, you know what, Joel? Cut the crap. Cut the wine. You're late for everything. How about you start being a part of this and maybe we can come together? You're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to be the highest paid guy on this team. You're supposed to be the big dog on this team, and you aren't leading us properly, and it is affecting the team chemistry. 13 games into the season, we're having these type of player-only meetings in Philadelphia. Doesn't bode well for you guys in Philadelphia. And Philly might have to start looking to move on from Joel Embiid. I know that he's a talent. But when you talk about the injuries that continue to mount up, when you talk about things like this that separate the locker room, you know, those things don't allow you to win. And sometimes you got to just cut bait with a certain player for the betterment of your team. Sometimes you have to amputate a limb to save your life. Yeah, you want to have the whole leg, but if it says having the whole leg means that I'm going to die, got to go leg. You gotta let some of these guys go. And Joel right now, he might be a guy that you look at for the NBA trade deadline. I gotta see if he has a no trade clause in this contract. Do they have that in the NBA anyway? But it might have to be a conversation. It might have to be a conversation for the big fella to see his way out. So don't let the doorknob hit you with a good Lord should have split you. And for Tyrese Maxey, the young kind of out of that big three, he has a no trade clause. Oh, he does not have it. Yeah, so then Joel Embiid, you might have to see if you can't find a suitor. And you know, the other day the Lakers are looking for a big man. So maybe, you know, Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick, they can and LeBron James can come together and maybe put a package together for Joel. I don't know if Joel and Anthony Davis will work well together. I don't know, but there are teams that will want to trade for Joel Embiid. And you can get a haul back for him, I believe, and that'll help you do whatever you need to do in the future for your Philadelphia Eagles because, I mean, he's shown you and he's giving you what he got, and it ain't got you a championship yet. So sometimes you got to just move on. If you have not been living under a rock, you've heard all of the talks about Deion Sanders becoming the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, part of that is because people love to drive the narrative and have the Cowboy stories. What are you about to say? Michael Irvin? Yeah, I heard what Michael Irvin said. And there's no bigger mouthpiece for the Dallas Cowboys than Michael Irvin. But I do believe sometimes Michael Irvin can. I'm not calling Mike a liar. I'm not doing that at all. I'm just saying sometimes Michael can, you know, stretch that truth just a little bit. And so he was on with Colin Cowherd, and he said, you know, my sources tell me, and I got a really good source, that if the Cowboys draft Shedeur, that Deion Sanders would accept the head coaching job. Well, let's just break that down for a second. Like, if you draft Shedeur, okay. If you're going to waste your top 10 pick that you currently have right now, you're sitting at 9. The Cowboys are sitting at 9, and they can probably get closer. What you going to do with the guy you giving $60 million a year to? Now, I know for a fact he has a no trade clause in his contract. So you sitting $60 million on the bench? Not doing that. You're not doing it. And his cap hit is so big for the next 2 years. There's no way. See, this is the part about Michael Irvin. This is the luxury that Michael Irvin gets because he's a prolific player, right? He is the loquacious one. He is the guy who speaks with so much passion and bravado. He gets the luxury to say these things and not have to deal with the reality of what it really is. See, he could just what Mike is doing right now is what we call manifestation. He's manifesting. Michael is just spewing and spouting these things into the atmosphere. Mike's a very spiritual dude, right? Like we serve the same Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like we serve a loving God, a Jesus Christ. So I know what Mike believes in. So Mike is saying, if I just continue to put this in the ether, in the atmosphere, in the world, that eventually the Lord God will hear me and grant me my wishes. It ain't happening. It's not fiscally responsible. What are you going to do? So you draft Shedeur to do what? Because all Dak got to do is say, no. In fact, I'm not going to get traded. No, I'm not waiving my no trade clause. So either you play me or you bench me. Either way, I'm walking out of here with this money. And then if I decide I want to go somewhere else, cool, I'll go somewhere else. But to say you're going to draft Shedeur, how? It's not like the Kirk Cousins situation. Because after next year, Kirk Cousins, you can get rid of him. He can go and you can give Michael Penix the keys to the Porsche. You can't do that with Dak. You are financially stuck with him for at least 4 more years. So unless you plan on sitting Shedeur for all that time, and then once it gets to the end of that contract, you pick up that 5th-year rookie option, and then you'll eventually you're stuck. So the dream that Michael keeps spewing into the ether, into the atmosphere, and hoping that the Lord God hears him and turns water into wine. That's what Michael Irvin is asking for. Michael Irvin is asking for Jesus to come down, to ascend and descend from heaven and turn water into wine. That's what he's asking for. Deion is not coming to Dallas. There's nothing I've asked people, give me 5. Deion did a press conference today. And in his press conference, of course, the question came up. And Deion said, not in front of my AD, not when my AD is in the room. My AD is in the room. And then he went on to jokingly say, well, everything has a price. And so some of you may take, well, if Jerry offers enough money, then I'll move. But I took that as, AD, when I come ask for this raise at the end of the season, when we make this college playoff, don't be slow with that pen and that checkbook. Because if you are, I'll just casually go over here and start entertaining. What Deion did today, Deion leveraged the Cowboys like everyone else does. You know, Deion leveraged the Cowboys to get him a bigger payday at Colorado or what other university. Deion is not leaving that power. He has absolute power, autonomy to do whatever he wants to do at the university. He's not getting at in Dallas. And he's already told you, Deion's going to have a problem with Micah Parsons on his podcast and not playing. Deion's going to have a problem when he hears about guys in the club doing drugs, getting drunk, and not performing. Deion's going to have a real issue when guys are out there saying stuff, doing stuff, and then they turn on the film and he realizes you don't know what the hell you're doing. You still can't. You think Deion's not going to have a problem with Mozzie Smith being a first-round pick and you have the lowest grade in PFF? You think Deion not going to have a problem with that? You think he going to let Mozzie just walk around there and say and do what he wanted and not? No. And then Deion got to be told, hey, listen, I know you want to play this guy, but we paying that guy. So put him on the field. Deion going to say, huh? That guy can't play. That guy can't play. You think Deion would have that would have been an easy conversation for Jerry to go to him and say, "Hey, put Zeke on the field. He's starting." After he cussed me out last week and told me, you know what I mean, after he showed up to all these meetings late, put who on the field? Hey, he ain't playing. He ain't playing on my football team. You think Deion ain't coming here, y'all? Deion is not coming. I don't give a damn who they draft. They could draft Shedeur, Travis, Shiloh, Bucky. His daughter could be on the cheerleading squad. I don't care. Deion is not coming to coach the Dallas Cowboys or any other NFL football team for that matter. So we got to stop this. I know it's a great story. I know it gets clicks. I know it gets views. Deion, unless Jerry's paying him $20 million a year. Now, Jerry writes a check if he's paying $20 million a year. He'd be a fool not to. He'd be a fool not to. $20 million a year? He'd be a fool. He'd be a fool not to. But we need to dispel that notion. While I'm in the coaching phase, Adam Schefter came out today and he reported that his sources from certain GMs across the league said that there will be at least 7 to 9 NFL coaching changes this season, this offseason. 7 to 9. You already know the Jets are looking for a coach. You know the Saints are already looking for a coach. You can pretty much book that the Cowboys will be looking for a head coach. That's 3 right there. The Raiders are probably going to be looking for a new head coach. The Jaguars will be looking for a new head coach. Who else is out there? That's 5. The Giants probably will get rid of Brian Daboll at the end of the season. That's 6. Where else are we looking at around the league? I mean, maybe the Bengals are looking for a new coach. The Colts maybe. The Browns possibly keep looking for a new head coach. So there's between 7 and head coaching jobs that Adam Schefter said will come available. And if you look at the numbers in the last couple of years, there were 8 coaching jobs that came available in 2023. There were 5 that came available in 2022. And the most ever in NFL history was 10 in one particular offseason. That was in 78, 97, 2006, and then 2021, that there were 10 head coaching jobs that came available at that time. Think about it for a second. Just 3 years ago, 10 new head coaches were hired in the National Football League. And in 2024, we're talking about 3 years later that they are about to probably hire between 7 and 9 new head coaches. A lot of guys that are getting fired 3 years later was in that cycle 3 years ago. No one gets time anymore. You don't get time to build teams anymore. That's not happening. That's not happening unless you fortunate enough to do what Dan Campbell is doing in Detroit, where they give you time to build a program. But most of the time, you get 2 to 3 years before they pack you up and send you packing. All right, man, I'm going to end with this. The WNBA in Dallas about to be lit. It's about to be lit. The Dallas Wings got the number 1 overall pick. You know what that means. We got our white girl now, baby. We got our white girl. Paige Becker, come on down. Come on down. And I know Paige Becker is sick because the LA Sparks got the number 2 pick. Paige wanted to be in LA. Paige wants to be a superstar. She wants to be in that lights, that glitz and that glam. And so, but nah, come on, Paige. Come on, leave Storrs, Connecticut, and come on down to the great DFW. Because you're getting picked number 1 overall. And so a potential lineup for the Dallas Wings next year could be Paige Becker, Arike, JC, Satu, and McCowan. That could be your starting 5 next year. That's not a bad starting 5. Like, that backcourt is nice. Arike and Paige, that's good. I'm digging it now. I'm calling it out. Ebony and Ivory. They're when they get hot, they should just do the little, like they playing the piano. The keys, Ebony and Ivory. That should be their name right there. Ebony and Ivory, Paige and Arike in the backcourt right there. But I think that Paige can have a Caitlin Carter effect. I think though. I think she's a big enough and good enough player, especially if she has a good run. Now let's cross our fingers because Paige has gotten injuries last couple years. So let's keep our fingers crossed that she stays healthy throughout this season. But I think she's a big enough player in market. And I love the way that the WNBA, the trajectory is going in the WNBA, that Paige is good enough to have that Caitlin Clark effect. She's the next one. She's coming, and then Juju Watkins comes after her, but Paige is on deck. Paige is definitely on deck, and she's going to be in that conversation next year with the Caitlin Clarks and the Asia Wilsons and your Angel Reeses of the worlds and you name them. She's going to be in that conversation. So Dallas wins with the number 1 overall pick. We got our white girl. Let's go. Paige Beckers, come on down. Can't wait to get to some WNBA games next year. And the Wings, they're building their new stadium. Yeah, down the street in Dallas. So they're going to be downtown Dallas. They're not going to be in Arlington next year. So they're going to be in the heart of the city. So that's a good look for them to be in the heart of Dallas, to be at K. Bailey Hutchinson Center, right? It's going to be. I think it's going to be in the K. Bailey Hutchinson Center or near there. So they're building their practice facility downtown and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be good. That's going to be good. The WNBA season is going to be lit next year. You'll see me in attendance to see Paige Beckers do her thing right there. All right, man, that's it for me. That's all I got. Remember, if you don't know where you were going, any road will take you there. Get yourself some damn directions. Calibrate your GPS. Don't just be following down. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. I know that you're gonna be. I don't know the rest of the words, but hey, find some direction, man. Keep yourself right. Get rooted and grounded in something. And then just go. Just go. All gas, no brakes. But make sure you're going in the right direction. All right, man. That's it for your boy, Jay Holley. I will see you guys next time. Remember, eliminate the contingencies. I'm out.